Hello beautiful people, welcome back to Demystified Cooking. And in this video we're gonna talk about ovens. There's a myriad of choices on the market, and what you'll find most of the time is most people that are looking to buy a new oven haven't purchased an oven in probably the last 15, 20, maybe even 30 years. And as we know, technology moves quite fast. So what I thought I'd do here is try to a degree to sort of debunk the language a little bit to help you understand what you might be looking at when you look online, when you go to a retail outlet, whatever it might be, because the choice is vast. And the terminology and the names that different manufacturers use can be confusing. So we'll dive into sort of what the top 5 ovens are, and then we'll break each one of those down to maybe help you better understand what it is that you're looking to purchase. Now, it's also important to note here that I'm not here to particularly promote any brand at all, and we probably won't dive into brands. So this is just more about you understanding the technology that's available to you and what it can do for your cooking. So if we'll start at the start, that's a good place to start. You'll often see an oven called a multifunction oven. Now, ovens come in various sizes, and depending on where you are in the world, they will be measured in inches or centimeters. And regardless of the size factor, it's generally, ovens are given specific names. So let's talk multifunction. So that would be my first, the multifunction oven. What does that actually mean? So a multifunction oven is effectively probably not dissimilar to an oven that you had when you were growing up. It has a varying amount of functions. It won't necessarily have cleaning cycles or cleaning functions attached to it. And within those functions, what they basically do is indicate to you, the home cook, where heat and air are coming from. So some multifunction ovens might only have 3 functions. Some might have 7, some might have 9, some might have 10. But effectively, they are just a standard oven. The heat type in the oven is always a dry heat type. We'll get into talking about steam and steam assist a bit later, but effectively the heat type that is produced by that oven is always dry. And where the heat comes from will depend on which element is being used. So a lot of multifunction ovens these days will have different heating elements built into the box itself. So you probably have sometimes a base element, sometimes a top element or a grill element or a broil element, depending on where you're from. And then there'll be a fan element if the oven has got fan force capability. And the fan element is the element that surrounds the fan. So multifunction ovens are probably seen as the most entry-level ovens. Quite often in large apartment dwellings and things like that, you'll see multifunction ovens. And like I say, the functionality will be, it is indicating to you where the heat is coming from. So it doesn't do much more than that. It will probably have a clock on it, maybe have a timer, but the technology built into multifunction ovens is relatively what we would term entry level. From there, the next step up, and you've probably heard this, is pyrolytic oven. And pyrolytic ovens are not dissimilar to multifunction ovens, but there are some key factors that are built into a pyrolytic oven. The sales pitch behind a pyrolytic oven is that they are self-cleaning. Effectively, the functionality of a pyrolytic oven is separate to the self-cleaning capability. So while it's built into the one appliance, you've got to look at what functionality that you're getting in a pyrolytic oven. And those functions in a pyrolytic oven, 9 times out of 10, until we get to steam assist, 9 times out of 10 will be dry heat types. Okay, so they're not dissimilar to the functions in a multifunction oven, but you also have the added advantage of having a self-cleaning sort of service built into the product. Quite often with pyrolytic ovens, because they are at a higher price point, you will see that they will have maybe a few more functions than your typical multifunction oven does. Maybe the build quality is a little bit different. You will also notice on pyrolytic ovens there's probably extra panes of glass in the door, and the reason for that is because it's a safety mechanism. Multifunction ovens also have different door gaskets or seals. What you see on most multifunction ovens is a silicone or rubber gasket which closes the door and seals the door to a degree. Pyrolytic ovens have a very different fiberglass mesh system, and that's designed to withhold the heat of a pyrolytic cleaning cycle. So let's talk about pyrolytic cleaning cycles and why it's a benefit potentially for you. Pyrolytic cleaning cycles use all of the heat elements in the oven together. So you will have a bottom heat element, a top heat element, a grill element or a broil element at the top, and then you'll have a fan element. And what a pyrolytic cycle does is turn all those elements on at full power. So the full powered nature of all those elements means the cavity can heat to a minimum, and you need the cavity to heat to a minimum of 485 degrees centigrade. In Fahrenheit, I'm not sure what that is, but I'll post it on the screen. So 485 degrees centigrade, and what that will then do is carbonize baked on food matter. So if you've done a pork roast as an example, and you've got fat splatter on the walls of your oven, what this cycle does is it gets so hot that it basically turns everything to ash and dust. So it's incredibly convenient to keep your oven in good condition. It's also important to note with a pyrolytic oven, different manufacturers will have different inclusions in ovens. So multifunction oven might only include one telescopic runner or maybe none, and maybe just have baking trays. Each manufacturer will have a different amount of accessories included in the oven. And this is where pyrolytic, you need to be aware of what those accessories are. Pretty much any accessory that is stainless steel in color, so a lot of telescopic runners are stainless steel, a lot of racks in ovens are stainless steel, a lot of the side shelves in ovens are stainless steel. Anything that is stainless steel needs to be removed prior to a pyrolytic cycle. And the reason being is that, especially for telescopic runners have food grade grease built into them, and that's how they slide smoothly. If you heat that food grade grease to 485 degrees centigrade, what's going to happen is it will seize. It can be hot enough to slightly warp some stainless steel materials. So anything stainless steel needs to be removed from the oven prior to engaging a pyrolytic cleaning cycle. Most pyrolytic cleaning cycles across most manufacturers will run for anywhere between, I'd say at a minimum, 2 hours up to 4 hours. And that gives the oven enough time to create enough heat and energy inside the oven to carbonize all that food matter. What you don't want to do is have any pooling oil or liquid in the base of your oven when you engage a pyrolytic cleaning cycle. That's probably the only sort of caution, those two things. Remove the stainless steel and make sure there's no pooling oil or pooling liquid of any sort in the bottom of the oven before you start the cycle. Most pyrolytic cleaning cycles will also lock the door, so there will be mechanisms on the oven door which will kick into place once the oven gets to a certain temperature, and the door will lock. Again, it's a safety mechanism, so you can't get into the oven while it is at those seriously high temperatures. Again, pyrolytic ovens will also have multiple layers of glass on the door, and this is again another safety mechanism to prevent you from burning your hands should you touch the door during a pyrolytic cleaning cycle. The other part of a pyrolytic cleaning cycle is you generally can't stop them midway through the cycle. You're best off letting them run the course of the cycle. If you do need to stop them midway during the cycle, what you'll probably have to do is go to your circuit breaker and flick the circuit off. That being said, the safety mechanism keeping the door locked will still be shut until it gets to a certain temperature that is deemed safe for that lock to disengage and you to be able to open the door. So Pyrolytic cleaning oven, pyrolytic ovens, lots of cooking functionality, maybe a little bit more than your multifunction oven, but nonetheless, the convenience here is the cleaning capability. So they're another option and another choice, particularly if you like your appliances to be pristine. Moving on from pyrolytic ovens, the next oven, which is sort of reasonably common in the marketplace these days, is called a steam assist oven. Now, it's very hard to talk about a steam assist oven without talking about a steam oven or a combi steam oven, but we'll do our best to get through that. Most steam assist ovens, and not all, but most steam assist ovens these days in 2025 will have pyrolytic cleaning capability. And that's where they fundamentally are different between a steam assist and a combi steam oven. A steam assist oven works where multiple functions within the oven will have the capability of injecting steam into the cavity at the same time as those dry heat functions that you have selected are working. So it works to assist in maintaining temperature, in cooking effectively, cooking very efficiently. Steam is a really thermally efficient heat medium, and so steam in the scenario of a steam assist oven works to carry the temperature to the food in a really efficient, effective way. It isn't enough steam across all manufacturers. There isn't enough steam going into the oven to make your food soggy, make your food damp, anything like that. Remember, most of the time when you are doing regular oven cookery, you are cooking anywhere between sort of 150 degrees centigrade, maybe lower on occasion, anywhere up to 230, maybe 240, 250 at the really high end. What most manufacturers do is during cycles they will pump steam into the oven, and this is where all the manufacturers differ. So they put a different amount of steam into the oven depending on what they think the best outcome is going to be. It's important to also understand that steam isn't measured in percentages. So quite often you'll hear manufacturers talk about steam percentages going into oven with steam assist oven and with combi steam oven. Percentages don't, steam isn't measured in percentages, it's actually measured by volume, so by weight. So all different manufacturers will pump into the oven different weights of steam or different amounts of steam at different durations. So a steam assist oven works to basically pulse steam into the oven throughout the cooking cycle. Now, as I said, each manufacturer will be different about how often they pulse that in and the duration of those pulses and the duration of the off time of those pulses. Pretty much all manufacturers will have a duty cycle for their steam generator. Now, this is where it gets a little bit technical, but the steam generator is essentially the thing that heats the water, whether it's from a reservoir or whether it's plumbed in, that heats the water that creates the steam. And the black art, so I was told by a global expert in making steam ovens, the black art is programming your steam generator and getting it to behave the way you want it. But a steam generator is effectively a boiler system. And what you can do when you are developing a product and developing a steam assist oven or a combi steam oven is you can tune it so it works in a duty cycle that you like. And all a duty cycle is basically on off. So it's like a light switch. So you turn it on, it creates steam, it brings water to the boil, it puts steam into the oven. You turn it off, it stops creating steam, stops putting water into the oven. Now there's various pumps and all sorts of mechanical items going on in the background, but effectively consider them like an on-off switch for a light. Okay, when you turn it on, there is light. When you turn it on, there is steam. When you turn it off, there is no light. When you turn it off, there is no steam. Quite often, a lot of manufacturers will give you the capability to manually add some steam through functionality on an interface to any number of heat functions. So you might be grilling or broiling and you might have the opportunity to add some steam. Now, the thing that you don't know, and the thing that most people don't know, is how much steam is going into the oven. And this gets into understanding the impact that steam has on food. It's really important to understand, and this is more about steam assist cooking and combination cooking, and we'll get to that in a minute, combination cooking, that it is really important to know. It does not add moisture to your food. So that was a sort of an early misnomer about what steam assist ovens do and what combi steam ovens do. And people said, oh, it adds moisture to your food and it keeps your food more moist. Now, those two statements are very different. Keeping your food moist, to a degree, is true. And the reason being is that when you have a dry convection type heat with steam, the steam carries the temperature to the food more efficiently. It's actually 8 times more thermally efficient than convection heat. So you have steam carrying the temperature to the food more efficiently. That means the food will cook fractionally faster. Now, the moisture retention part comes in because if your food is cooking fractionally faster at the same temperature, and let's say we had 180 degrees fan forced in a convection oven, a pyrolytic oven, a multifunction oven, and 180 degrees fan forced in a steam assist oven, the food cooked in the steam assist oven would be cooked fractionally faster. And the reason that there is potentially more moisture, or the end result is more succulent, is because that item of food isn't exposed to 180 degrees for as long as the convection pyrolytic multifunction oven is. So you actually get to take it out of the oven fractionally earlier, which means it doesn't have the same amount of time to dry out as those other ovens would. So consider steam as a carrier of temperature. It's also worth understanding that steam will help color and crisp your food. So be it a loaf of bread, be it a roasted pork belly, whatever it might be that you want to develop a crust on and get some nice even color on, steam actually helps because, remember, it carries the temperature to the food. So whether you're baking cookies or a roast, as I said, anything like that, the steam actually will help carry the temperature to the food, creating a more even color. So because it's a little bit denser than just convection heat, it helps even the color out of your food. So you'll get a much more evenly roasted chicken, as an example. So the color on the chicken will be much more even versus if you did it just with a regular convection heat setting. So yeah, steam assist ovens, that's what they do. They assist in the cooking. They assist in carrying temperature to the food in a really efficient, effective manner. You can, depending on the manufacturer, there will be different levels of steam that you could potentially use or undertake with whatever function that you like. And some are pre-programmed in, and so you might get a choice of high, medium, or low, or you might get a choice of 25, 50, 75. Now, as I said before, percentages can be a little bit deceiving, and they're very hard to adapt to a end cooking result. So my advice to many people that I've taught about steam ovens and about steam assist ovens is more steam is going to be fractionally less crisp. It's not saying it's not going to crisp, but it's going to be fractionally less crisp. And less steam, so at the other end of the scale, will be more crisp. So think about the end result that you want. So if you want a really nice crusty loaf of bread, less steam. If you want a super moist fluffy chocolate cake, more steam. It doesn't say that you need, that doesn't indicate that you need to change the cooking temperature. My suggestion is that you change your cooking times, and maybe when you're using a steam assist oven, if that's a path that you're taking, is that you maybe look 10, sometimes 15 minutes earlier to see if your item has been finished. Of course, temperature probes and all those sorts of toys can help you with that. But yeah, always look a little bit more always look earlier to see if your item's finished cooking, because 9 times out of 10, if there's steam in the environment, it's carrying the temperature, it's going to cook your food more efficiently. From steam assist, and steam assist ovens, as I said before, a lot of steam assist ovens these days will have pyrolytic cleaning capability. So you'll see a very similar fiberglass door seal on steam assist ovens, and there will be potentially a water reservoir. So in all different manufacturers, the system about how they deliver water to the steam generator is different. So some will have a built-in reservoir behind a moving control panel. You open the door to some ovens and it will be a tank or a jug on the side of the oven. You can siphon water in through another system. Some will be plumbed, so you can have fresh water plumbed in to the oven. So there's all manner of different ways that the manufacturers use to deliver water to the system. But from a home cook's perspective, the end cooking result is that it is going to be more efficient and effective as far as delivering temperature to your food, which means you will get a crustier bread, a moister chocolate cake, a slightly faster or more efficiently cooked chicken, therefore it will retain its moisture levels. That's effectively steam assist. Now, combi steam ovens are probably the next step up. Now, the difference between a steam assist oven and a combi steam oven is pretty vast. And what you find in most combi steam ovens is the convection heat functionality that is in your pyrolytic oven or your multifunction oven is in your combi steam oven, and in most steam assist ovens too. The steam assist functionality that is in a steam assist oven is built into a combi steam oven. And the one outlier in a combi steam oven that none of those other ovens have is the ability to cook with steam alone. So this is where you can steam vegetables, steam dumplings, steam proteins, whether it be fish, chicken, it doesn't matter. So think of its capability of not dissimilar to having a pot of water on your stovetop with a steam basket on top. And that cooking environment and that humid heat is fundamentally different to all of the other heat types. It does not colour or crisp your food, but it's a much gentler way of cooking, but it still has a lot of power to it. What you'll find with steam cooking, we'll do a lot of steam recipes. What you'll find with steam cooking is it doesn't take as long as what you'd think. That the maximum temperature that you can have steam at, unless it's superheated steam, and there's not a home appliance manufacturer that produces an oven that has superheated steam, the maximum temperature is 100 degrees centigrade, so 212 Fahrenheit. Boiling water, that's the maximum temperature you can cook with on a steam alone function. Now, while that temperature is really good for green vegetables, or it's really good for dumplings or bao buns or any of those sort of regular steamed items that you would do on a stovetop steamer basket setup, the major point of difference is that you have the ability to manipulate the temperature below 100 degrees. And this is where we can get into techniques like sous vide cooking. And not only sous vide cooking, but just steaming at a lower temperature. The piece of advice that I've given to people for over a decade is just remember steam isn't one temperature. You can cook with steam, and most manufacturers give you the ability to cook with steam between 40 degrees centigrade and 100 degrees centigrade. And there's a whole band of temperature in there which you can cook at. So you can cook egg-based custards like a creme brulee at 90 degrees, which is about perfect. It gets you the perfect silky set custard. There's recipes that I've developed for steaming a chocolate cake. Rather than baking a chocolate cake, even in a steam assist oven, a steamed chocolate cake. You can steam fish. Now, I'm a big advocate for steaming fish at a temperature below 100 degrees. Just remember 100 degrees, while it will cook a fillet of fish very quickly, that temperature is the same as what a pot of boiling water is. And think to yourself, when was the last time you put a fillet of fish into a pot of boiling water? You generally don't. So steam cooking is about more than just the one temperature and just steaming some vegetables. There is a whole range of ingredients that you can cook with steam at a whole range of temperatures. It's actually the broadest temperature range and usable cooking temperature range I think there is. And the heat type itself, of course, because it's humid and, for want of a better term, it's moist air, things don't dry out in the same way. What it also does is it maintains its temperature better than convection heat. Not only is it far more efficient as far as delivering the temperature to the heat, but it maintains its temperature far, far better than convection heat. So you can dial a steam oven in to sit at 60 degrees and it will hold at 60 degrees. Because it's water-based, steam is a water-based product. Because it is water-based, it will maintain temperature almost endlessly over a very, very long period of time. It holds temperature better than any other element. So water will maintain its temperature better than oil in a deep fryer. The element itself of water, much like in the case of traditional sous vide cooking, it holds its temperature really, really efficiently and effectively. The other thing to note with a combi steam oven is that all of those, all of your convection heat functionality, your steam assist or combination functionality, and your steam functionality, they can be used in conjunction with things like food probes and other types of things. Remember that if you're steaming a piece of fish, you can't necessarily roast some potatoes at the same time. There's no oven that's developed yet that has got a split system where you can have two different heat types. So remember, with a combi steam oven, and they're my choice as far as giving you the capacity to do a broad range of cooking. Combi steam ovens are a really great way of opening up your eyes to different cooking methods and different techniques. So yeah, consider a combi steam oven, but understand that they are different. There is no pyrolytic cleaning cycle in a combi steam oven, and that comes down to the build of the oven itself. As we were talking about before with pyrolytic ovens have a fiberglass mesh seal around them, and the gaskets around where the lights go and all that will be heat-proof to very high heats, because they've got to hold up to that 485, 500 degree temperature when you're running a pyrolytic cleaning cycle. The difference with a combi steam oven is that 9 times out of 10, the seal around the oven door and the gaskets around the lights and other seals in the oven will be made of silicon. And the reason that they're made of silicon is when the oven door closes, it needs to seal steam in when you choose to do standalone steam cooking. Because when you are steam cooking, the steam is your cooking medium, and you need that to stay in the oven for your food to cook. If we had a fiberglass seal, what would happen is the steam would escape. So the silicon, of course, seals the oven up, so it seals nice and tight, keeps the, to a degree, a little bit of pressure, but not much. Keeps a little bit of pressure in the oven, but also keeps the steam in the oven. Fiberglass mesh isn't going to keep the steam in the oven, and the drawback to silicon is that it can't hold up to temperatures above about 230 to 250 degrees, so we can't run a pyrolytic cleaning cycle. Now, a lot of combi steam ovens these days will have the ability to do different sorts of cleaning cycles. So some will have a steam cleaning function built in, some will have added sort of chemical bottles that you can fit into a water system that will help clean your oven. I know one manufacturer has recently come out with almost like a dishwasher arm that is built into the oven that will help clean the oven. So they do require fractionally more maintenance and more hands-on maintenance, but nonetheless, you make the choice between having something that requires a little bit more maintenance that gives you a whole lot more cooking functionality, or something that is push button. You know, in the case of a pyrolytic oven or a steam assist oven, it is push button, cleans itself, but you don't quite have the same cooking functionality available. And of course, all of this is about choice. The other thing with steam ovens, as with steam assist ovens, combi steam ovens, as with steam assist ovens, is there are different mechanisms that manufacturers use to bring water into the system. Some will be plumbed. So you will have plumbed in and what we call plumbed out. So you'll have fresh water coming in. It will have probably a drainage system that will plumb out all the water that is built up in your combi steam oven. Some will have a tank system where water will be gravity fed and drop down into a tank that you will remove and tip out. When you are steam cooking, and just standalone steam cooking, so not the combination or steam assist cooking, when you are standalone steam cooking, water will be created. There is a lot of places in the oven, think of your racks, your telescopic runners, there are a lot of places in the oven that condensation will build up on. And if you're steaming for a very long period of time, and some recipes I've developed do require long time steam cooking, you will build up some water residue in the oven. Now, it's important to understand that don't be scared of water. It doesn't affect end outcome, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But different manufacturers have got different options about not only getting water into the steam generator, but also removing water from the environment. You will get water coming out of your food as well. Most foods have a very high water content, so some water will come out of your food. But nonetheless, they're all choices when you go shopping for a new oven. Tank systems are also good for bringing water in, because then you don't have to worry about building in plumbing systems behind your cabinetry. There's advantages and disadvantages to both systems. So again, it's about choice. And the next oven that I'll talk about, which I'll touch very briefly on, it kind of doesn't exist much anymore. I think there's only maybe one or two manufacturers that still produce this oven, and this is just a steam oven. So we've got multifunction, we've got pyrolytic, we've got steam assist, we've got combi steam, and then there's this, it's a bit of a unicorn now, called a steam oven. And a steam oven does just that. It just steams food. So you won't get any convection, dry heat type cooking functionality out of a just steam oven. It will just steam food. So it will probably have a maximum temperature of 100 degrees. At its lowest point, it will be about 40 degrees, and it just works as a steamer. Quite often you don't see these ovens in places like Australia, where I am, America, but sometimes certainly throughout China and Asia, where there is a greater demand for steam cooking, you might find just a steam oven. But generally we don't see a lot of them. They were the first iteration of what a combi steam oven became. So they did exist a long time ago. We don't see them very often now. You really have all of that functionality built into a combi steam oven. The last oven that we'll talk about is a combination microwave oven. That seems to be a very common appliance on the market right now. And combination microwaves are very are dissimilar to all of the other ovens that we've talked about. So most combination microwaves, and remember I'm being general here and I'm not talking about any particular manufacturer, but most combination microwaves do sort of three jobs. They work as a standalone microwave, so not dissimilar to probably a microwave you've had on your countertop, and you're reheating your cup of tea or your bowl of fried rice, and you're hitting 30-second increments for 2 minutes at 1,000 watts, right? So these built-in combination microwave ovens work in the same way. They work as a standalone microwave. A lot of them have the capability to do convection heat cooking. You'll see most of them these days don't have a turntable built in. And you can do regular convection heat cooking, so fan forced. You can grill in most of them. Different dry heat cycles that you can use as a standalone. The combination side of things is not dissimilar to combi steam, and combi steam means it does a combination of things. Combination microwave effectively uses convection heat and microwave energy together to cook something much faster and at speed. So you can use various dry heat functions with microwave energy to get a faster outcome. So some manufacturers will allow you to have the grill on and use microwave energy to cook something quickly. You might be able to have fan forced heat and microwave energy to cook something quickly. Results from combi microwave ovens are, in my view, a little bit mixed. Yes, you can certainly speed up the cooking process, but as soon as you speed up a cooking process, like any process, you can take away from the quality of the end result. They're more of a convenience product, but again, they're just another choice. Most combination microwave ovens only come in smaller platforms, so generally about 45 centimeters high, sometimes 45 centimeters by 60, some by 76 or 30 inch, depending on where in the world you're from. So they're generally a smaller footprint oven, but it's the choice of being able to provide you with speed and also as a secondary oven. So we see a lot of people that having a combi steam oven and a combi microwave oven, or a pyrolytic oven and a combi microwave oven. All of the ovens that I've spoken about come in various sizes across different manufacturers. The standard in Australia where I am is 24 inch. That's about the standard size oven, or 60 centimeters. But like I say, some of these smaller products, like a standalone steam oven or like a combi microwave oven, and certainly combi steam ovens, do have the ability to come in a smaller, shorter size. The other last oven that I'll talk about is what is sort of coming to market a little bit more often now, and that is, there's no real sort of name for it like combi steam or combi microwave. Let's just call it a sort of, it could be a 3-in-1 or a 5-in-1. Different manufacturers will use different terms like that. And this is where you have convection heat capability, so like your multifunctional pyrolytic. You have steam assist capability, like your steam assist oven. You have steam capability, like your combi steam oven, and it has microwave capability. Now, different manufacturers have different ways of combining those different heat types and energy types together to give you a cooking outcome. They are generally a smaller footprint oven, so generally a 45 centimeter oven. And sometimes you can combine microwave energy with steam, and you can combine convection heat with steam and a little bit of microwave energy. So you can almost, to a degree, mix and match heat types. There are restrictions behind it, but nonetheless, if you are looking for a very small footprint oven that does every single job possible, that's possibly something to look at. It's important to note that any oven with microwave capability has a very different way of closing the door and sealing the door. And this is because that microwave energy needs to stay inside the cavity. We can't have any of that microwave energy escaping from the cavity. And that can create its own amount of issues. Because the door seal is so strong and so tight to keep microwave energy in, what can often happen if you're using a combi microwave, or let's say a 5-in-1 type oven for regular convection oven cookery, there's no pathway for heat to escape and for humidity to escape. And we talked a little bit earlier about food being very water heavy. So when there's no pathway for that humidity to escape, sometimes what you'll see, because it's not controlled humidity like a steam assist oven or a combi steam oven, what you find is the humidity level will build up to such a point that food does not colour or crisp in the same way. And you can often see a lot of condensation in your microwave oven. And it's because there's no pathway for that humidity to escape. So you can sacrifice a little bit of quality as far as end result from a combi microwave, but nonetheless, they certainly do speed up the cooking time. So there's an overview of ovens on the market. There are a couple of others which are outliers, which use really high-end technology that is super, super expensive. But nonetheless, your oven choices at the moment in 2025 are generally a multifunction oven, a pyrolytic oven, a steam assist oven, a combi steam oven, a combi microwave oven, and maybe a 3-in-1 or a 5-in-1, depending on the manufacturer. I hope if you're looking to do a kitchen renovation, anything like that, you've found some of this helpful and useful. As always, there'll be an email address in the description. You can, feel free to send us an email. Don't forget to click the subscribe button, and we'll be back again with hopefully some more detail around the different ovens and what they can do, and show you some different outcomes. Until we see you again next time, happy cooking.